Hello and welcome to the Dice Tower. I'm Wendy Yee.
I'm Chris Yee.
And I'm Roy Kennedy.
Welcome to Board Game Breakfast. I hope you all have been very hungry. So we just got back from Gen Con. How y'all feeling about that?
Sleepy, tired, but I loved it. It was amazing.
It was fantastic. We'll probably be talking about it a few different times throughout breakfast today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we sure will. But yeah, I'm tired, but it was a lot of fun. It was well worth going.
Oh, for sure.
For sure.
You're tired?
Tired. So we have a contest for Q-Birds. This is a Pandasaurus reprint. So go ahead and write an email to contest@dicetower.com, and the subject line is Q-Birds, C-U capital B-I-R-D-S. I'm pretty sure the capital probably doesn't matter when they're searching for the names, but just in case, put it in.
I think it shouldn't matter, but if you really want to press your luck, misspell it, send it to the wrong email, see how far you get.
Now, Chris, you've played this, right?
I have, yeah. A cute little card game. Pandasaurus is excited to bring it back into print because you're basically playing out cards into little rows, birds on a wire, and then you're trying to set collect them. That cover is very representative of what the art looks like in the game.
So cute.
Yeah, very cute, small, quick play.
I think thematically, it's like you see birds line up all on these little wires, and then if they get scared off or they all fly away together, they can't find their flock. So you're trying to help them find their flock so they can fly home for the
Flock of birds.
Yeah, E.T. Fly Home, the card game.
All right, well, let's go ahead and kick it off with, what's the segment called?
Eye
Catchers.
Eye Catchers. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start with mine. My eye catcher is Luthier. Now, this is a Paverson Games future release. We were hoping it was going to happen this year, but I think the Kickstarter starts next June.
Yes.
But basically what you are is everyone is different instrument manufacturers, so you're luthiers, and you're trying to appease different musicians or different high and mighty aristocratic people as you're making them instruments. And so Chris and I got to check this out at Gen Con, which was really exciting. And one thing that I appreciated, or one thing that I thought, oh, this is interesting, is it's a worker placement game, but you have little discs that are numbered, and you place them upside down. And so the actions fire off in an order. It's very Aladdin's Dragons-like, but they fire off in order based on whoever put the highest disc. And so you're kind of competing for the best part of those actions. So I think it's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, I think so. Have you ever played a game like that, Roy, where you're doing, it's kind of like a mix between worker placement but like secret bidding? Lockout?
Oh yeah, I've heard of it, but I haven't. I don't think that I've played it. Like, so secret worker placement, sort of.
Yeah, I think that's a mechanism you'd like because it's very interactive, and you're just sitting there being like, this person put, this disc out here. I bet he put a big one. Can I outbid him, or should I just go somewhere else? And so, yeah, I mean, that level of interaction.
Well, let me know when they do it in space. No, I'm just kidding. you had this on. You had this. I love instruments, but not necessarily classical instruments. If this was like rock band, that would be super cool.
Graham's
this was on your
guitars.
anticipated list, right, Chris?
It was, yeah. Which turned out to be a lie because it's not even going to Kickstarter this
Until
year.
next
It's
year.
always hard to know these things, but it's awesome.
It is.
I knew putting on that list, I was like, this is probably
Not a thing.
not a
Not
thing,
gonna
but
happen.
yeah.
But yeah, we're excited. So in here, this is obviously super pre-production. This artwork is not real at all. But yeah, it's exciting. Very excited about it.
Dave Beck, the designer and the publisher, the president of the company here, was saying like, yeah, we were demoing this at a convention recently, I forget which one, and they were like, oh, cool art direction. You went the Splotter route. It's like, no, it's going to have Vincent Dutray.
More craft, less splatter.
Like, this is a prototype.
All right, so my eye catcher over here is from Jay Cormier, designer who worked on most recently like Mind Management, and he's doing these off the page games, whatever. So this one is part of Fail Faster, which I think is like a game design kind of.
He showed me this.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is really cool. This is basically a box with a bunch of like story and small games and stuff, but each game, it's advertising here as each game is broken.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's really cool. It's like a storybook game, but you're going through each page, but it has different stuff to help you with game design. It basically looks like it's for like kids, but I feel like it'd be good for adults too that are interested in game design and how to like figure out how to like fix the different problems in the game design. So each game has issues and problems with it, and you're trying to fix those things, and you just go to the next page, but it also has like achievements in it, and you're unlocking new things. It's almost like a legacy game design themed like game, which is kind of crazy to me, but it looked really cool as he was showing it, and the artwork is fantastic in it as well.
Oh, that's cool. So it teaches you those development skills.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, oh, you're playing the game. Okay, well, it's kind of broken. Like, how do you fix it? And it gives you the pieces to fix it with, and helps explain how it was broken in those ways and how to fix it in those ways. So it seems really cool. Maybe I need to do this so I can figure out how to make that work.
How to make a good game finally.
How to make a good game finally.
No, I think this is awesome. And like you said, whether it's for kids or whether it's even for me, I'm sure that this would be both fun, but also like, oh, I could learn me something from it. So anyway, that's my eye catcher. Running Out of Time from Jay Cormier.
Cool.
So for my thing, something a little bit less orthodox than you guys two picked, that is the Deadpool pack for Marvel Champions. I love Marvel Champions, and this is kind of crazy because it's a new pack, of course, but I was like, I figured that Deadpool would be released like as like a April 1st sort of thing, you know, because they did that with Spider-Ham. And like I actually talked to the designers and they're like, this was actually supposed to be an April 1st thing, it just got delayed. Which is kind of funny. I was like, I called it. But yeah, it's just kind of a zany pack in a little bit of ways. But he has a bunch of powers that of course like feel like Deadpool. Like if he dies, he comes back with just 1 hit point. A lot of his stuff is like adding these tokens that are going to make the threat go up even faster in the game. So if you have too much threat, you lose the game normally.
Yeah.
Deadpool's just doing crazy stuff and making threat even worse for you. So he's one of those characters that has a whole bunch of really cool cards he can play, but he's boosting up the danger as the game goes along. And he has a bunch of cards that just let him kind of like kill himself in some ways, which is kind of interesting because it just makes thematic sense for Deadpool, the fact that he can regenerate and can't die and all that stuff. He's just a super beat up character, but is always just super wacky. And it's also a whole new aspect, which is the pool aspect. So you can basically make other characters into Deadpool characters as well, which end up having like those zany cards. Yes, it very much feels like that seemed like it should have been done for April 1st because it was supposed to be done for April 1st, but that's still really cool.
Is it still going to have like what's the unmatched one had like, when you say zany cards,
yeah,
like
it's
they are
just the
almost
fact
like
that like
functionless.
No, I mean it doesn't really have stuff in there. I don't think that where you have to like shout out stuff and things like that. But it has like well, it does have some weird stuff. Like there's a card that lets you go get a weapon out of your collection and bring it into the game. You know, so like it's not even in your deck. You just pull it out of your entire collection of Marvel Champions stuff.
Yeah.
And then like his like basic card has like zeros written on it. It's like, oh, he has 100 like thwart, so that way it's like, oh, he can take off 100 thwart, and then it has a little asterisk that says the zeros aren't actually calculated or something like that, or aren't actually real. Just ignore these zeros. Just really funny fourth wall stuff. It also has a bunch of cards in that pool set that are like copies of other cards, but Deadpool has written them up and like changed them a little bit, which you've seen in other like Deadpool stuff before, but it has a little bit of that feel to it, but it doesn't have anything that I thought was annoying, you know, because some Deadpool sets are kind of like, shout this thing out, or like, go punch your neighbor. I don't know if they have punch it.
If you're playing against somebody named Logan.
Yeah, exactly. That sort of thing. It's just kind of like, okay, weird, wacky, but yeah, I don't think it's that game breaking, but it still has that Deadpool flavor. So I'm excited to play it, and it was an eye catcher just because I thought it was silly.
Very cool.
So, but
That's fun. So it's available now?
No, it's gonna be coming out like whenever it says at the bottom of this page, like probably super late in the year, but it doesn't say there.
Maybe April 1st next year.
Oh, I think you actually have to click on the news article, which is right below that one.
Yeah.
So is that $21.99 it or not it?
I think that's it. Man, they've raised the prices on these. But I'm hoping like in online stores. Yeah, they have dog pool. A lot of the stuff has adds tokens that make the threat go up faster, but then react off of having a bunch of tokens out. So it's like you do bad things, but then your cards get boosted by having done those bad things. So it's just causing trouble, you know? I don't know that other people are going to want to play with you when you play Deadpool, but he does seem like a character that needs to be played with a bunch of other players to actually work properly. So.
What if both people play Deadpool against each other?
I think
I don't think you know how Marvel Champions works.
Yeah, that's definitely not this game. This is a cooperative game.
Aye.
Anyway, still love Marvel Champions, but there is that.
Well, very cool.
There we go. All right, well, that's our eye catchers. Let's move on to our top 10.
Hello everyone, it's Stella.
And Tarrant here from Maple University and the Dice Tower.
Archeos Society is a da bomb.
It is a new set collection game with a nice, interesting twist that I haven't seen before. Makes it quite an interesting play.
It's like, okay, you collect the cards and then you form a set collection to score points. But then when you play it, you have to turn the rest of the cards that you have in hand open so everyone else can draft it, can take it away.
Yes, they go into the common market. So the market is always depleting and then refilling. If it fully depletes, then everyone gets to draw cards more quickly, so it really pushes the game along. It's got a real push your luck timing urgency sense because the round will end immediately based on cards coming out in the deck. And these sets you're collecting, you're trying to make colors and powers and large sets and combine them all together to get as many points as you can.
To advance on the fairies track. So it started off, okay, you only need to discard one card to advance in one, but then as the game goes, it's getting harder. You advance, you have to discard 4 or 5 or something like that. And each board has got different side and it feels different. You just make various combinations of it. So lots and lots of replayabilities, and the cards that you use as well per game, you can mix and match, like more sets than you need per game.
Yeah, very simple to pick up and play. I can see this doing well in the meetup circuit over this year.
Plays 2 to 6 players. And thanks for watching. Bye.
This is a segment where we take a look at a board game based on an IP, and I tell you if the IP and the mechanisms match. Today we're looking at Family Ties, the board game. In addition, you will have 6 cards in your hand. These will be randomized, and you will have 6 cards, and one person in their 6 cards will have the Skippy card. In order to win the game, you have to have 1 card of each family member in your hand. So each card has to be different because there's 6 family members and only 6 cards that can be in your hand. And if you have the Skippy card in your hand, you cannot win because it would take the place of one of the family members. And you must have $100. On a turn, you simply roll the dice and you move that many spots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you do whatever spot that you land on. Some of the spots will allow you to take a Say Cheese card, which will be an additional character from the show. If you already have it, or you're already up at 6, and you have to discard a card, I already have an Elise card, so I'll just get rid of one of my cards. It doesn't matter which one. Some of the cards that you'll get will have you move the Skippy around the board. You never want to be the player with Skippy, but keep in mind, somebody at all times will have the Skippy, and thus are in a position to not win the game. Family Ties, the board game IP works. You're trying to get a photo album for mom, and you want a picture of every person. Those pictures are represented by cards in your hand. That seems like, well, not an episode of the show that I remember. It definitely could have been an episode of the show. There's also a Skippy card that's going around, and you don't want that card to be in your hand because Skippy's annoying. If you know the show, you would agree Skippy's not that bad. But in the vernacular of this game, you do not want Skippy in your hand because he's not a member of the family, so why would you want him in the photo album, I guess? The IP and the mechanisms work fine. It's a roll and move, but it has that trading, like Settlers of Catan type trading. I think that works fine. There is some goofiness involved for a mass market game from this time frame, but this game works for me, not just on the IP, but it works for me as a decent little family game, and it's been a winner. IP and the mechanisms do match with the theme that's going on here. Surprised, so am I.
All right, the top 10 this week, I figured instead of trying to do something silly or funny like we've done before, why not talk about Gen Con? So our top 10 this week
Very
is...
timely, Chris.
Also super easy to think about. Top 10 cool things that we saw at Gen Con.
I can zoom in here a little bit too.
You're gonna look nice.
I can't.
But yeah, so we figured, you know what, Gen Con was just this last week. We got the privilege of going there and saw a bunch of cool stuff. So the first thing that I wanted to highlight, and clearly Wendy and I did not coordinate this because the first thing that I thought was really cool at Gen Con was demoing Luthier.
Wow. We're on repeat again.
It's Family Ties all over again.
That's right.
Everything Wendy said. I think that this was, it looked really promising, it looked really cool, and other people recognize. You can see that like gaming trend goes around and like puts the little awards to some of the cool looking upcoming games and stuff. So that was one of them. I thought it was really neat. So yeah, so number 10, getting to demo Luthier from Paverson Games.
So one other thing, in the back there, you've got that picture of that, not castle, but what would you call it? Just like a mansion
The
thing?
Opera House.
Oh, is that what that is?
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever that is. That's supposed to be a giant board, is what they were saying. That's going to be like a big board,
Yeah.
the main area.
That is cool, but also, oh my gosh, we have a lot of table logs. Anyway, so yeah, number 10, demoing Luthier. So number 9.
Number 9, I'm up. Okay, so I was really excited about buying some stuff. I'm not a big, like, go buy a bunch of board game things. You're going to switch it over? There we go. I don't go to Gen Con to, like, go buy all the board games, but I was excited about getting one of the Exit the Game advent calendars, because that's one thing that I've always wanted to do. So I'm super excited about that. And then also, I tend to buy most of my paint at Gen Con, which is weird because, like, we have board game stores here in Miami, but I have to drive 30 to 45 minutes. So instead, I'd rather fly halfway across the country to go buy paint instead.
Well, there's just
drove
a
18
much
hours.
wider selection, I'm sure, at Gen Con of all sorts of variety of stuff. you
Yeah.
know?
So I'm excited to try. I've never tried the Army Painter speed paints before.
Oh,
And
nice.
so I got some metallic colors. So I'm really excited to see how those work
Ooh.
out. And then I got a couple more contrast pots because I like those.
Very cool.
That's awesome. My number 8 is honestly just talking and hanging out with so many publishers and designers. It's just really cool to be able to see a bunch of people that do awesome things in the industry and actually be able to like thank them for what they do and be able to talk to them about what they do. And Gen Con gives you a great opportunity to that because almost everybody is there, you know. I mean, I had chats with some of like my favorite designers. Like I played last night with Caleb Grace and then Tony, who do a bunch of the Marvel Champions, which are my favorite game, but then also like talk with Cork and Nezca and talk with just all these different publishers, which is really cool to have an opportunity. Speaking with Jeff Engelstein again, I always have fun talking to him. And there's just so many different publishers and designers that you see. Isaac Childress.
We're just
Daryl
name
Andrews.
dropping.
I know, but
Woo!
there were so many people I talked to, and it's just so fun to see. One I do want to mention before I sat down and talked with Jay Cormier when he was showing that game, and I just like thanked him. I was like, dude, like when he has this whole video series online of like how to start a board game company and how to like sign board game designer contracts. And I was like, dude, man, your designer contract I watched over and over again just to understand like how people do this. This was like my first time ever doing it. And just being able to see those people and thank them for
sure.
like their contributions to the industry is just really cool and interesting. So I love Gen Con for that. So meeting publishers and designers is a blast.
If you want to go to meet people and like have that opportunity, Gen Con is probably like the premier place for that.
It's insanely busy for everyone, so it's hard to like spend like lots of quality time, but being able to say hi to people or being able to, I mean, just take time to like thank the designers and the publishers that make the games that you love. It's just really cool.
Yeah.
That's super fun.
All right. I don't remember what my number 7 was. Let's see. Let's find out together. 'Cause
Magic.
a little tired, but it is the Everdell Claw Machine.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't actually see this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I missed it. It's right by the tree.
Yeah.
Somehow I missed it. I got lots of pictures of the tree.
So the Everdell booth is always very impressive. They have the big tree hanging from the ceiling and stuff. You can actually climb in it and take pictures and whatnot. But then I feel like they outdid themselves. They have, you can see the plushies right there. They had like these new plushies they were showing off, and so that was in the claw machine in the back, which unfortunately I didn't get a good picture of. But then this one over here in the front with like the little baubles with the little prizes, and I think there were like coupons and discounts and stuff you could get for buying Everdell. It was just a very impressive booth, and I looked at it and I thought, I'm glad I'm not on Teardown for that booth, because tearing down the Dice Tower booth took about 45 minutes, and this booth would not take that short.
Ooh. I wonder if they
yeah, for
put
sure.
together the claw machine or if they just transfer it
I'm
the
sure
way it
they
is.
just
They probably
transport it
transfer
in.
it the way it is.
Yeah, that'd be my guess.
That would be a lot of complicatedness, but they might fill it there, potentially. All right, my number 6, is that what we're on? Mm-hmm. My number 6 is meeting one of my favorite designers, Phil Walker Harding.
Chris? Oh, Phil, sorry.
This was fun. You know what? We interviewed him once on our podcast, but for some reason I didn't recognize him. So I was really glad that you were there, Chris, to be like, hey, Wendy, Phil wants to say hi to you. So it was this cool moment. I was just working our booth. He happened to come up, and so I got a picture, got to say hi, got to gush a little bit. But it was fun. It was short. It was sweet. It was great.
Yeah, you
Made me
have
happy.
so many of his games on like your lists.
Oh, my goodness.
Like
I
all
have
the
3 of
Phil
his games
games.
on my top 10.
That's huge.
Ridiculous.
That is
That's awesome.
That's ridiculous.
I love it, love it, love it.
Not ridiculous. That's awesome. But yeah, no, I had a great time. All right, Roy.
Oh, my next one is actually going through Artist Alley and picking out some art. I have like this tradition of getting art from a his name is Jeb, the guy who does all this like Japanesey looking art. But I have all these Pokemon pieces in my living room, and going through Artist Alley and seeing all the art, and like one year I picked up some stuff from him, and it's basically become a tradition. So like 3 years ago I picked up some art, and then last year I picked up some art, and then like this year I had to pick up more art. It's just slowly growing pieces of his art in my living room. It's just cool to be able to see him and talk to him. I was like, dude, I have to take a selfie because this is the 3rd year in a row I've bought stuff from you. I just really enjoy like his style of stuff. And it's just cool to see it, and just see all the different artists there that make art for different board games or just for different nerdy cool things. I just really enjoy going through Artist Alley because there's so many great artists there.
Your living room is so cool because you have all of these miniatures and all these cool like anime things and all this art and all this stuff.
When people go in there, they're like, is this a game store? Like, it's so confusing. The thing is, like, when I started dating my fiance, I started like decorating the house a little bit more, and like she was down with it, and like I'm like, oh well, because I mean, you guys remember coming out from being like, oh, Roy decorated his bathroom, and then it's like it just exploded everywhere all over the whole house. Now it's like all the nerdy things, mostly because Ruthie's like, I love this. This is amazing. Like, she'd flip out about the nerdy stuff I was putting up.
Oh, I
and
love
I was
You got to
like,
be careful when you say that the bathroom exploded all over the house.
right,
That's
exactly.
true. That's true.
My bathroom is very, very Marvel themed. My living room has like one side Pokemon, and like the rest is like anime and figures and all this stuff. But I'm making it happen.
Yeah,
My
it's
house,
so fun.
My house looks like a game store. So
Your bathroom looks like a Marvel Champions store.
my bathroom has every single pack of Marvel Champions in it.
All right.
Do you play Marvel Champions in the bathroom?
I told Caleb that, and he's like, oh, what are you about to say? Because if you run out of toilet paper, you just use my games. I was like, no, your game's my number 1. Stop it, man.
All right. Number 4 for me, and this is just a little bit of a cool story here. I call this real life co-op. So
Ooh, I love it.
So the brief explanation of this is that several of the booths were running out of inventory at Gen Con.
Oh, gotcha.
Like by Friday, I was like, dang, the 25th Century booth has like no Three Sisters, no Raw, none of like their big games. So Kurt Covert over here on the left from Smirk and Dagger, and Chad from 25th Century, the two of them were talking, and they found a truck driver who was going to drive overnight, like Friday overnight till Saturday morning, to bring inventory from their warehouse in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. And so they went around and they're like, hey, we know a couple of other publishers that keep inventory at that same warehouse. So 7 different companies pooled together, paid this truck driver, paid him very well, tipped very generously, to drive inventory back up for Saturday. Oink Games, I know, is one of them. Mm-hmm. I can't remember all the other ones they said, but like Oink was sold out of their brand new game, the Tiger and Dragon. Mm-hmm. Smirk and Dagger was out of Boop, which is like one of their best-selling games.
Oh, yeah.
And like their entire booth was decorated Boop-wise. And they're like, we're sold out on Friday. This is a problem.
That's crazy.
So I thought it was just really cool to hear that like a bunch of publishers were able to work together.
That's awesome.
When the truck arrived on Saturday morning, because you're only allowed to like do setup for a few hours each, at the end of the day or in the morning. So when they got there in the morning, people from all the publishers were like pulling pallets off, disassembling them, being like, the Oink Games, and they're like passing it down an assembly line, branching off in different directions. Such a cool story. I love that part of our industry.
That's another thing that people don't realize about Gen Con is like people bring a whole bunch of stock to Gen Con, but they're never quite sure how fast things are going to sell. And the last 2 years have been much smaller. Like this was like record Gen Con,
Oh my God.
And sometimes people come and they're not like buying as much stuff because whatever, like financial situations and things like that. This year, people were buying things.
Oh my goodness. I heard an estimate of about 30,000 people.
Yeah. Well,
30,000.
Was it
70,000?
70,000? Oh,
Wendy.
Wow.
No,
I heard
way more than
30,000.
30,000.
Clearly wrong.
Yeah.
Maybe that was the first day.
But yeah, it was huge. It was gigantic, and like the fact that like so many people were out there buying up all the games from every single booth is just really helpful for the industry because these people put their heart and soul into making these booths, and the fact that like people were supporting them is like huge.
Oh yeah.
All right,
amazing.
number 3.
All right, my number 3 is another cool moment. So I got to hang out with Shem Phillips, and this is why this is my number 3 is because I got to spend like a good solid time talking with Shem, hanging out with him, asking him all my many questions, joking about Chick-fil-A. I mean, it was great. It was great. I love those moments when you get to sit down with a person and you're like, you're a real person. You're not just this person that I want to photo op with and I love your games, but like I want to like really get to know you a little bit and have those moments, and like it creates a really awesome memory. So I loved that. Thanks, Shem, if you are watching, but you're probably not. Thank you.
Shim brought candy to the booth, the Dice Tower booth, when me and Mike were there, and I was like, yes.
Oh, yeah?
Candy from New Zealand.
I didn't see him at our booth, but you know. No, it was a lot of fun. Also, Chris was there.
I'm
Yeah.
all right.
Am I number 2?
You're right. You're number 2.
My number 2 is red shirt guy from the Gray Fox booth. So I filmed like videos, and this made it to the vlog, of like different people each day like rushing in to get Last Light, which is insane to me. But it was sold out immediately every single day. And this dude in the red shirt, we have a video in the vlog, so go back and watch it. Which day was that? Day 2? It's day 2.
I believe it's day 2.
So
yeah.
day 2, like you're not supposed to run at Gen Con, but this dude was booking it. It was pretty crazy, and like you just see him coming around the corner, just running as fast as possible. It's like, if that dude is out there and he's seeing this, like hit me up on social media. Like I need to like give him a reward, because I'm like, and like I posted this on Facebook as well, and people were like, oh, there's a little bit of red shirt in all of us, you know. But yeah, it was pretty fun, and just seeing the reaction. Like the third day, Eric Summer is like, I need to be here at the Gray Fox booth to see if what Roy's saying is really true, you know. And he just saw the swarms of people coming, and I don't know, it's really an honor to like, it's so surreal. Like I never thought people would be that excited about something I created, but then seeing people posting like pictures playing with their families and stuff like that is just huge. So thank you, everybody. You're all amazing. But red shirt guy, you have a special place in my heart.
You're a legend.
You are a legend.
All right, and so then the number 1 here, I saw 2 comments that jumped out to me. First was Diana talking about getting the Everdell plushies and the family really liking them. That's really cool that the industry has kind of grown to the point where, you know what I mean, like even like knickknacks and doodads, like plushies and stuff, is exciting. Plushies from like a specific game. One other one I just want to highlight here from Josh, talking about getting to talk with a few different designers and thanking them for their work and for everything. That's such a cool, exciting experience to have as well. So anyway, there you go. That. Oh, you know what? Let me delete this so that's not still here next week. Zoink. All right. So that is our top 10 coolest things that we saw at Gen Con.
Hi, everybody.
Hello, we are Ryan and Bethany.
We're Ryan and Bethany, Board Game Reviews.
Today we're talking about Rome in a Day. This is an I-cut, you-choose style board game where basically you are trying to take the ruins of Rome and take your little slice of them, and you're going to offer it up to people. Basically what's going to happen is you're going to have your own 5 tiles that are going to have some buildings on them. You're going to cut them behind a closed screen, and in a way that someone's going to take a smaller batch or the larger batch, and you get to keep whatever they leave behind. But similarly, based off of what round it is, you're going to do the same thing to the person to your left or to your right as well. So you're going to end up with a variety of tiles and possibly some gems as well. Gems get assigned to you if you choose the smaller of the 2 options that you're given.
Yeah.
Gems are worth a lot of points, but also the buildings and the tiles are worth a lot of points too. So you have to kind of weigh and measure what strategy you want to go with, or a blending of the 2. It's an I-cut, you-choose game. I have not played a ton of these, but this is probably one of my favorites.
Yeah. I just now realized as Ryan was talking that there's a gem on the cover. It's in the word Rome. I did not know that, and we've played this game many times.
That's called good graphic design.
Yes. They did a great job on that. This was a really fun game to play. There's not a lot of choice, right? There's just one choice, how to arrange your tiles. But oh my gosh, does that one choice take up so much space in your brain? It is silly. Absolutely silly.
Yeah, you have to figure out, which tiles you're going to offer up, which tiles you're going to choose, which tiles how you're going to rearrange them once you keep them.
This game should be like a psych study.
Right, yeah.
Yes, because you're trying to figure out other people. You're trying to figure them out. So you can get what you want, but you have to know what they want to get what you want. You could study it. You could study people playing this game.
Yeah, the simultaneous nature of this game meant that it, is zoomed by. It was super fast, but it still had this kind of this rich, game that you're playing. Didn't feel like a 15-minute game. It felt like you had experienced a 45-minute game or something like that. Yeah. But it all just took place in lightning fast.
Everybody, if you want to hear more from us, make sure to find us on YouTube. We are Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews. Until then, this is Ryan. Bethany, hoping you have a happy, healthy breakfast.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Hey, Board Gamers, BJ from Board Game Gumbo here, back on the breakfast with maybe the smallest game I've ever brought, and that's Sea Salt and Paper by designer Bruno Cathala and Theo Riviere. Let's get right to the table and see what makes this game special. You just shuffle up the cards, deal out 2 face up, and the required number of cards to each player, and then on a player's turn, they either draw 2 off the top of the deck, random cards, keep one and discard one to one of the two discard piles, or they can choose one of the ones on the discard piles that are face up at the top of the discard pile and put that into their hand. Then at the end of their turn, if they have any combos, they can play those combos. So these are the 4 cards that are all base values of 1. We're trying to get to 7 points. And at that point, when you have 7 points either in your hand or in display, you can say, all right, I'm ready to stop. 7 or more points is what I mean. And at that point, it's sort of a bet. You're going to either say stop, and then everybody counts their points, or you can say last chance and give everyone else another chance to play. By doing that, you're saying you're going to end up with more points than everybody else. And if you do, you not only score the points that you have, but you also score the color bonus. By winning that bet, also, you limit your opponents to only scoring their own color bonus. But if you lose that bet, then they score their color bonus, and you only score the points on your card. But wait, there's some lanyap, and that's these cards I'm talking about, the beautiful mermaids. If you collect one, gives you a bonus point for your color matches. But if you can somehow, and it's really tough, I've only seen it happen once or twice, collect all 4 of the mermaid cards, it's an automatic win. The mermaid is kind of risky play, but boy, it would be so much fun if ever someday I could collect all the mermaids. Hey, so that's Sea Salt and Paper, one of our favorite card games of 2022. Until next time, les aider bon temps roulé.
What we do here is go back.
All right, so we are talking about old school games. And this is old school game is a game that I actually taught to both of you, but on separate occasions.
We're not allowed to play together anymore.
Yeah,
That's true.
I mean, we're trying to keep your list separate. We're trying to diverge your tasting
This
games.
is a wall right here.
So we're playing the same games with you in different games.
In
That's
fact,
going to make your game taste different.
Roy and I, we did a pre-recorded live play. What is that even considered?
I don't know.
What do you call that? We'll call it a live play.
No one now can tell the difference.
That's true. Delayed live.
Exactly.
Lively delayed. But yeah, anyways, Roy and I played that this last week.
Yeah, and I played it with Chris, like back around my birthday time. But yeah, Alien Frontiers is one of those games that are kind of like, I don't know, they're so like, they're kind of a little bit pivotal to the industry because this is one of the first games that was actually on Kickstarter. And it didn't even make like that much money overall. But like when it did it back in the day, people were like, oh my goodness, you can make that much money on a board game before it's even come out. And it kind of really changed like the way things kind of work now in the industry because Kickstarter is such a prevalent thing. But Alien Frontiers is just a dice placement game where you're rolling dice and upgrading dice and getting dice and trying to do this area control thing on the middle of the board. It's very sci-fi. All the different locations on the board have like sci-fi authors' names. And you're just trying to boot up your dice, put out your little settlements on the board, and be the person who has the most settlements on that planet. What did you guys even think about it?
Want to switch to the BGG view here?
What did you guys think about the game?
So you told me that it's a dice placement game, and I was like, you know what? I might not hate this game. You know, that's my goal. No, dice placement I tend to enjoy. This almost feels more Yahtzee style, even though you don't have the re-rolls, because you're trying to get very specific numbers. It's not just like you could roll some dice and you'd be like, I literally can't do anything but bump my settlement forward on the bottom. So it's one that it didn't like sing for me, but I didn't mind it. If that makes sense. How about you, Chris?
I really enjoyed this one a lot. I mean, it's, like you said, the dice placement is different than I was expecting because a lot of games like Marco Polo, Voyage of Micro 1, you hear dice placement, like roll the dice and then we one at a time put out a die or something like that. This one is you roll your dice and
you
then
put all of them out.
You put all of them out, which maybe is because I haven't played something like that before. Then I was like, ooh, this is fun and different, and I appreciated that part of it. And then the area... there's kind of like area control in the middle. It's funny because I really enjoy a lot of aspects of it, but that part is very mathematical.
Right.
Because you're like, okay, tying here, what's going to be the shift in points? If I have this card that allows me to move things, I'll lose 1 point here, gain 2 here, but then gain another one for having, okay. You know what I mean? It's weird like that for as like almost zany, not zany, but like as cool as the card powers were, as the dice are and everything,
But there's also interesting decisions like the power of this area is really good, but that also means it's going to be contested. So do I go here and get that power now, but somebody's probably going to steal it from me, or do I just go somewhere that has a weaker power because people are probably not even going to fight me for that location?
And then I can keep it long term.
So like interesting concepts like that.
I think there's some cool design ideas in here. So you have two different resources. You have the orange circles and the gray cubes. What are those, Roy?
They are solar and I think ore or something like that.
Yeah, sure, something like that. So you have those two different resources, and instead of them being weighted, or I guess the way that they weight them differently is how easy that you can get them.
Right.
Solar, you can use any die to get solar, and just the higher numbers you get more, whereas the ore is a lot harder to get. I have to play something higher than someone else has played, and because you play all your dice at once and they just sit out for the whole round, you could have put a 6 on that spot, and then everyone else is like, I can't get any ore unless I have a 6.
Right.
And so I think that's cool that the resources themselves have such a unique way of getting them so that they're weighted differently naturally. So
And of course,
I like
there's
seeing that
tons of
stuff.
like things like, oh, you have the power here, then you can always place that. And there's a lot of mitigation in the alien tech cards, which I think in the game you had, we didn't grab that many of those alien tech cards, but if you grab more of those, you can end up doing a lot more interesting stuff with like mitigating dice and moving other people's dice off of things so you can place yours and a bunch of that cool stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's because of that a lot of the variability is going to come.
Right.
Which I don't know. I like that, so it makes me want to play it again and see how different it goes based on what tech cards and stuff come out. So yeah, I would. I don't know. Do you have a score in mind that you might give it?
This would be a 6 for me.
I would probably
This
be
be-
around like an 8.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah, I would play this again if people wanted to play it. I wouldn't ever go out of my way to play it, but I'm also not like anti this game at all.
I see.
So-
yeah.
That's crazy to me because I feel like I'm like a 7.5. I like the game, but like,
Okay.
I think Chris is even higher than me. What?
What?
I mean, like I said, based on that one play, so it's
yeah.
somewhere between like a 7.5 or 8.
But also
or
for
something.
me, I have played this game a ton. So
Right.
and it's also like, it came out. What year did it come out? Was it
2010?
2010. So it is, 13 years old? So yeah, I played it way back in the day. So it's one of those things of like,
Do you think your score is lowered over the years just
I think
because
my
you played
score
it
is
so
lowered
much?
over the years because I played it so much. Because it's like I would rather play other games, mostly because I have played this one to death. But the thing is, my fiance really enjoyed this game, so it makes it easier to get to the table. So
That's fun.
it's there, it's good, it's
Yeah.
solid.
All right. Well, there you go. That's our old school game, Alien Frontiers.
Hello, this is Oliver, and today I'm going to be talking about Inside.
Hey everybody, Ron here, and this is my friend Ben.
Hey.
Today we're going to talk about Horizons of Spirit Island. Horizons of Spirit Island is a game published by Greater Than Games, designed by R. Eric Royce, plays 1 to 3 players, ages 14 and up, with a 90 to 120 minute playtime and a $30 MSRP. In this game, you're playing spirits that are guardians of this island, helping the indigenous people drive back the colonizers as they try to invade and colonize the island. Well, we're going to compare this game to its big brother, Spirit Island. First of all, we're going to talk about the component quality. The component quality is pretty good. It is a $30 game. You have cardboard chits. The spirit board's a little bit thinner, but it's still pretty decent. Ben, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, especially considering the price point, the component quality is pretty good. Compared to the main game, everything that was plastic in that is now a cardboard token, and the player boards, instead of being the thicker cardboard boards, are now sheets that are made with the same cardstock that the player cards are. Some people may see that as a downgrade. I actually like the player sheets better than the thicker boards. I think they look better, the print quality is higher, and they're much easier to store and transport.
And the reason why I'm talking about component quality for this game is people are going to naturally want to compare this to Spirit Island, and I just wanted to get that out of the way. This is not Spirit Island as far as component quality goes, but you're paying $30 for this game. It's pretty good. Now with the gameplay, it's exactly like Spirit Island. You're playing your spirits, you have your cards that give you different types of actions and things you can do, like spreading fear, doing damage to the colonizers, and exerting your influence over the island. The gameplay is exactly the same. Ben, what are your thoughts?
Yes, this is Spirit Island. It's not an alternate rule set or a dumbed down version of it or anything like that. It's the same rules, just with without the added options for complexity, but it's the same core experience.
And so with that being said, this is one of the most complex games that you can get for $30. When you spend that kind of money, typically you're getting a lighter game, a game that's going to be quicker. But this is really a fantastic deal for a complex game. So that's why I wanted to highlight this one. Ben, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, especially for the price point, it is fantastic. It's the most game you're going to get for $30 that I'm aware of. And even for fans of the main game, this is not something that has to stand alone. It can integrate with the main game like an expansion. The spirits that it comes with are unique and they're fun for experienced players, but they're also a great way to learn the game and teach the basics.
So once again, this is Ron, this is Ben, this is Affordable Board Games, and until next time, see you later.
All right, this week in the archives, I'm very happy about this. I was able to find an old video called Tom's Review of Dice Plus. This is I'm going to play it muted here so you can kind of see and admire this fantastic review from 10 years ago. It is a Bluetooth die that you can use and sync to your iPad.
It looked like an Apple die from that picture.
It kind of did, yeah.
Then you airdrop to the die.
So it's a Bluetooth die. It has the numbers pre-written on there, and then it would connect to a specific app. It had like 4 or 5 games when it launched that you could roll that die and then play like a roll and move game or something like that. Which sounds fine, right? Like, you know, it had a limited pool, but they were going to add games to it over the years, and I have no idea if they did or not. But they were going to put Talisman on there, which I don't know that would make me want to play Talisman more. But it's just a neat idea to see that, like, oh yeah, 10 years ago, stuff like this was coming out.
And it's crazy that 10 years ago, stuff like this was coming out, but it's still not widespread, you know? You would think, we would have these digital things and digital imitation. We have digital games that are kind of board games also, but I know they do it with the Tabaroo system. They have dice that recognize with the tablet, but you don't see too much of this in gaming overall. It just seems like it's probably pretty difficult to do.
Yeah, I mean, it must still be difficult when the Tabaroo is out and like 1 or 2 other things, but there's really not much of this.
Mm-hmm. I know that Tom in this video mentioned how it's not very rewarding when you just click on, hey app, roll the die for me. And I know I felt that way when we played on Roll20 with D&D during the pandemic. I remember being like, this is skewing low every time I roll it. I don't think this is real. I think this is just a fake number generator that, you know, skews one way or the other. So there is something about rolling a physical die, but yeah, if it's not affordable, then it's not going to take off.
If it doesn't connect very quickly, if you roll the die and it's like processing.
Yeah. 2 or 3 seconds
4.
per roll.
Right.
You're like, I
thought
can see
another
it.
thing that was funny in this video that you were showing us, Chris, is the fact that you can use it as a remote control for this plane game.
Yes, right here, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So it's like, you connect the die, and then you can actually use it to like take off and be like the joystick in a actual plane. And you're like just holding the die and twisting it. It's kind of crazy.
At this point, it's not even a die. It's
a dexterity game. But like,
pull back.
That is crazy. This was 10 years ago, so.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
What?
And yet app games don't necessarily even look better than this, you know, in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
He's firing!
Oh, it's like, I wonder what the goal of this game is.
Torpedo! Oh, man.
There was some NES game I played as a kid. I think it was like Top Gun or something like that, but you take off, and I always ended up doing these like barrel rolls, and I couldn't ever figure out what direction I was going, because as a kid I didn't realize that like back meant up and down meant down or whatever. Forward meant down.
Forward meant down, yeah.
I was terrible at it.
Oh man. Yeah, it's funny because Tom said, in the review, he's like, this might be the future of board gaming. And then at the end, he said, I'm sure that in 10 years we'll look back at this and say, what a quaint little thing. And unfortunately, that's kind of where it has been. It would be cool to see more little tech, what would you call it?
Innovations?
Innovations and mashups with gaming, and we're still just not there yet.
Right.
But we have little QR code scanners for apps, and some don't even require the QR code. They just scan the picture and they recognize it. So
amazing,
I think
yeah.
we've come quite a long ways when it comes to adding tech to games.
Yeah, but I think it's better off the way that like Chronicles of Crime and
Right.
Destinies and stuff
Destinies,
has done it.
It's just the connectivity issues. I think board gaming in general is like, it's hard for many publishers to put that amount of resources to it because most small publishers are very indie. They're very small. And I mean, even the big names, a lot of times you think, oh man, that's an amazing board game company. They're still pretty indie. There's like three people there, you know? So the big tech, and then the big tech companies don't know how to make the good games, you know? So it's like this weird juxtaposition of like, these people could make the cool tech, but they couldn't make it into a good game. And these people can make the really good game, but they can't afford the cool tech, you know? So
Yeah, there's only a couple companies like Lucky Duck and Fantasy Flight that have been able to kind of merge that better.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very true.
Well, there you go. That's Dice Plus Review with Tom Vassell.
this might take half a second.
All right.
Half a second.
So continue to
worries.
talk because people are probably...
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
We're trying to fix up the contributor thing.
Right. You know what? I wonder if Bluetooth has gotten better over the years. Like 10 years ago, Bluetooth, have there been advancements since then so that things are cleaner and smoother?
That's a good point.
I would think so.
I know range has increased.
Yeah.
So yeah, probably speed and stuff as well.
I'm ready when you are.
We ready?
All
Let's
right.
go.
Let's hit it.
Maybe
Oh,
play the video.
let's not go.
Cool. Well, maybe we should go to
Next
the
segment.
next segment, if I can find it, which is
Da, da,
this
da,
one.
da.
All right. Yeah. Unfortunately, small little issues with the contributors there, but
Yeah.
we'll get it sorted out
You
by
said we
next
need to
time.
save time. I helped you out.
Yeah. All right. Welcome to the last segment called From the Mailbag.
Ooh, who's our mailman today? Mail person.
We have a double treat for you. It's not Mike. I'm sorry.
Mail people?
I realized that I built that up incorrectly.
That's fair.
Let's just cut to the mail people. The mail carriers.
Okay, everybody. I'm Joey,
I'm Alex.
and we are the mailmen for today.
We are. Surprise.
So, and I also didn't shave. You like that?
Yeah, I do.
It's a day off after Gen Con.
That'll
Nice,
do it. That'll
nice.
do it.
Okay, all right. So, go ahead and read the letter.
Oh, here, I have it straight hot off the press.
Hot off the press.
All right, here it is. So, can you pick a couple of personal Dice Tower Award winners for the last year, like your favorite board game accessory you played within the last year?
Okay, so I guess that's like make a new category and tell us our favorite in that category.
Oh, I can do that.
All right.
All right, mine's going to be Roll and Write, best Roll and Write of 2022. Tough one, Three Sisters or Twilight Inscription, but I'm going Twilight Inscription.
Really?
Yeah, what about you?
All right. So mine would probably be best game that I wish I played more. It's a weird one, right?
Yeah.
But for me, that would be Oathsworn.
Yes.
I love Oathsworn. It's fantastic. It's just one of those that I need to hit the table more, but it's going too soon. It's just so sprawling, but it's honestly, it's one of those that I love that I really wish I played more. So, all right, back to the studios and see what you guys thought.
Yeah. Bye.
Right? I'm going to go shave.
Really? A new day out?
All right. So, talking about the Dice Tower Awards there, if there were any picks that we would have made, you know, and I think that's a fun little thing. I mean, for me, my obvious, if I was just in charge of it all, which we're not, you know, I like that the Dice Tower Awards has, I think Amy said that there were over 200 different people that voted in them.
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's
So-
normally like people that are very plugged into and like part of the industry, you know? There's a lot of different board game media people that are part of it, and a lot of people that are very Dice Tower adjacent or Dice Tower people, but it's really cool to see like the variety of tastes when it comes to that stuff.
Right. And it's clearly not like, maybe there's some sway, but like, I would have picked Welcoming Game. I would have done that Caesar's Empire game, right?
Right.
I
Yeah.
don't think there's been a more welcoming and robust, still rewarding game to play, you know, that compares to that in a long time. But it wasn't even in the nominee list, so it goes to show that I don't carry that much sway, you know, in the categories and the voting there.
I think for me, which it honestly surprised me that it wasn't there, was Revive being under Best Strategy Game.
That's very
I was surprised that wasn't even nominated at all, and that Woodcraft was. Because when I look at like the people that are playing the games at our conventions, Woodcraft gets played, but not that much, whereas Revive was just always checked out. That and Endless Winter are very like similar levels. So I would probably pick Revive just because now that I've played it a little bit more, out of the two, I know last year I picked Endless Winter as my best game of the year and Revive was second. They would swap for me now that I played them both a little bit more. But yeah, so that surprised me that it wasn't even nominated. So I would make it a nominee if I were to change something.
I honestly love the way that we do the awards, and there's been so many times, like even way before I was part of the Dice Tower, like I would be like, the Dice Tower awards are the awards I go to like find good games. You know, basically all the nominees, all that stuff are good games, and a lot of it's popular games, but normally the popular games rise to the top, the games that everybody's talking about, the games that everybody's excited about, and the games that are accessible. I mean, maybe certain things didn't have a big enough print run or didn't have enough like wide appeal to get out there. But I love the slate of games that we come out with each year, so I like the way they are. You know,
so you wouldn't change anything?
I would, like, maybe I'm being biased because like I made the PowerPoint and I've been super excited about the Dice Tower Awards for like a long time, but I like the fact that they came out the way they are. A lot of them are not the games that I would pick. You know, I like extremely thematic games and extremely interactive games. And I realize that there's a lot of people out there that aren't as big into those things, but we have categories like strategy and things like that, or categories for certain people types, you know, solo games, you know, things like that. But I love seeing what actually gets nominated and then what actually wins, because I feel like it's a really big honor to like get through those things.
Oh yeah. To get nominated is amazing.
Right.
Like that means your game is awesome.
Clearly, as we're talking about, some really solid games that we love didn't make the nominee list, the nomination list. And I really enjoyed, if you watched the actual award ceremony, which we have up on the channel, first of all, Eric did an amazing job with that opening song. Like, amazing. He's the mastermind.
He wrote
behind
all that, yeah.
But second of all, I really like the fact that Tom always emphasizes any game that was nominated, any of the, the 5 of each category, that's a big deal. It means that enough people said that that Boop is a great 2-player game, or that Woodcraft is a great strategy game, or Wayfarers of South Tigris is a great, it was amongst one of the 10 best games of the year, nomination-wise.
It's a big deal.
That is a big deal. I think Frostpunk, that was one of the nominees that surprised me, that made it in to co-op game or one of the categories, because a game has to kind of both be great, but as you said, like have enough widespread
big appeal.
And so it's cool to see a big box based on a video game, board game, even get nominated. That's a huge deal.
The very first email I ever sent to Tom Vassell was asking if I could be a part of the the people that nominate stuff for the Dice Tower Awards. I'm like, I'm doing board game media stuff. And he said, maybe next year. And now I run the entire thing. Now I run all the behind the scenes stuff. It's just fun. It's just to see like how things have changed over the years. But yeah, I love the Dice Tower Awards, and I love the taste of all the people that are a part of it, because if you grab those games, you're gonna have fun. You know.
Yeah.
How is it you were running so much of it during that the live show? How was it on your side of things?
It was cool. I mean, I love the fact that we get to do those big presentations, because it's in front of a massive amount of people. It was like 1,000 people, right, in the audience, basically, maybe like 700 to 1,000. I
think it was about
exactly.
700. Yeah.
But yeah, it's like a ton of people out there, and it's just fun having all the comedy bits and sketches and throwing everything together, and like just having like after everything's done and people like being super excited about like, oh, Eric's singing part, oh, this part. It's just really cool to see all of that stuff come together and like work. You know, of course, there's hiccups and bugs that go along the way, but trying to troubleshoot and minimize all that stuff is kind of like what I'm doing, like get the sound, get this, do this, and like trying to work with people that I don't have actual control over, trying to like get them to make sure everything is good for us. It's crazy, but we made it work.
It's such a different energy having a live crowd.
Oh, for sure.
Because we're so used to just talking to you all, and there's no feedback other than the chat. And so to have the laughter and to be like, oh, cool, that, those jokes landed, those videos were great.
When Chris says a pun and people like actually laugh at it, that's just crazy.
It's weird.
Right? It's so crazy, because normally that doesn't happen. We just all groan.
Yeah, it was fun. So it was a really fun experience overall.
Yeah. No, I think that the people in the chat are talking about some of the different skits. Z and Leaf from Above Board. It was nice of Above Board to provide. They provided 3 different little skits in there. Breaks up the award show. Mike and I had a lot of fun working on the one that we did.
I loved that skit so much. It's so hilarious, and like just Mike's sense of humor and you're like bouncing off each other just is hilarious.
Yeah. So I think we did a good job of trying to make it interesting to watch. A lot of people came up to us at the booth at Gen Con before the award show and said, "Oh, I'm disappointed you guys aren't doing like a a Dice Tower live show. You know,
Right,
like we've
like a
done
top
before.
10 or something.
Yeah.
And I do feel like people still got a big taste of that while us doing the awards as well.
See, after a lot of people, so many people said like, "Oh, this was the best show I've ever seen that you guys have put on."
And I think it took the awards to the next level. I mean, there is a bit of prestige, like the fact that we're actually releasing these at Gen Con, you know? It like helps elevate the awards and like hopefully help get the word out there more about these great games, because the publishers and designers did so much amazing work on this stuff. It's one of the things that Tom said from the stage that like I loved, was the fact that he's like, hey, check out all these publishers and the designers that are sitting up front here that were nominated for these games. Go say hi to them. Go say thank you to them, instead of like always bugging me all the time. You know, it's like, not bugging me, but you know, like everybody gives a lot of board game media like props and like always knows what they look like. But go out there and like figure out what your favorite designer looks like and say thank you to them at the convention. Go like look up what the publisher, the head of different publishing companies look like, and be like, go thank them for like the games that like they made that you love and play all the time with your family. You know,
they're the reason that we have the job we have. That we have conventions like Gen Con.
We're more visible than they are in a lot of ways, just because we do all the social, like the board game media stuff. But they're the ones that their games are what we're excited about.
They're
and we're
making
talking
the hobby,
about, you know, so
yeah. From the first acceptance speech when Manny Vega went up there, you know, and you could tell that like it meant something
a
to
lot.
him. And that meant a lot to me in turn. So yeah, I thought the awards turned out great. Would I have picked other little things? Oh, sure, absolutely, right? But I really like Roy's point that at the end of the day, I'm very happy with how the awards went, how the ceremony itself went, just how everything turned out. It was really great.
It was a really awesome experience for sure.
All right. Well, that is this board game breakfast on this fine Wednesday. We haven't had a breakfast on a Monday.
Yeah,
in
it's so crazy. We keep having Wednesday breakfasts.
For now, we're back to a normal schedule for a little bit. Dice Tower Retreat is coming up in a month, so we'll have one more little wacky change up there. But that's not for that's future.
Future
all
Chris's
of our
problem.
problems. Yeah. So until then, we have crowd surfing later today.
Yep.
Right. So make sure to come back for that. And then we have Smorgasbord tomorrow, and then a live top 10 list. So this week is going to be full, condensed, but still full for you, and plenty of reviews still going up. So make sure to go check those out. Thanks for coming out to Board Game Breakfast today. My name is Chris Yee.
I'm Roy Kennedy.
And I'm Wendy Yee.
Have fun watching the Dice Tower Awards.